And here we are, folks, the last build on the last day of Special Projects Pack number 22. Of course, another Signature Series build. For those who are unfamiliar, this is a selection of cars which I've kind of put under the banner of my own fictional tuning company. So you've got like Mines and HKS, Tommy Kyra, all these kind of things. This is like my imaginary version, if you will, of that. But the thing about most of my builds is they tend to be cars which are designed and built to be, above all else, fun to drive, rather than necessarily lap record holders or race winners or anything like that. They're designed to be, as I said, enjoyable, first and foremost. And if they end up quick, that's just a bonus. To be honest, it was a matter of time before I did a build like this, because this is my single favourite Japanese car. Technically, Gran Turismo doesn't actually have my favourite version of it, because my favourite Integra, my dream one, if I ever do actually buy one, is called the DB8, which is extremely rare, and it's actually a four-door version of the DC2 Integra. It looks fantastic as a four-door. I love the idea of the extra practicality and the extra exclusivity. This one, crucially, and this will make a big difference to the build, is the 1995 shape. Now, personally, I don't really care which version it is, but the reason why I've gone for that is because, strangely, this one has the preference on the wide body kit. I don't really know why they've opted to do that. Maybe it's like a motorsport tie-in or something, but whatever the case is, that is a pretty big difference between the two. You could, if you want to, essentially reapply what I've done here to the newer version, and the only difference will be the body kit, and of course the point level and the specs will be slightly different as well. So, of course, I've done the livery, if you will, not exactly much of a livery, but that's kind of the point. It's got the red roll cage, the little signature, almost minimal kind of mine style for this particular build. Then we need to jump into what I've done, because this car was, as the name F implies, the personification of the front-wheel drive platform. Because, for me at least, when I think of superb all-time front-wheel drive cars, the DC2 Integra is always the one that comes first to mind to me. You've got stuff like the Megane R26 and various others, but this is the front-wheel drive car for me that comes to mind first. So my idea was this: what if you take essentially that gem that the car already is and just polish that diamond to the nth degree? Put a ridiculously high caliber of parts onto it, including ridiculous stuff like racing soft tyres. Drop the weight as much as you can, increase the grip as much as you can, but then, and here's the curveball, have a very modest amount of power to just see what it can do. So it's only got barely 250 horses, but it weighs less than 870 kilos, as you can see, and is over 600 points. And of course the tyres do make a huge difference to that, but spoiler alert, this can get around the Nordschleife in 7 minutes 19. Now, I've said before, I'm far from the fastest of drivers, so if I can do it in a 7:19, again for a 250 horsepower car to be lapping the Nürburgring that quick, imagine what some of you can do. In fact, I would love to see what some of you can do. If you maybe upload it to YouTube or whatever, definitely tag me in it if you upload a full lap with this build, because I'd love to see what kind of lap record you can get out of it. It wouldn't surprise me at all if people could get like 10, maybe 15, possibly even more seconds quicker than I am in some cases. So jumping into the parts, you want your stage 1 weight. We'll just go to the ultimate section first, because all I've got there is the high lift S cams. It would be rude not to have an even higher, higher power curve and a higher red line for a VTEC. Just lean into what it's already good for. So to jump back to the sports section, we've got the stage 1 weight, like I said. Of course, the comfort tyres come with it anyway, but we don't need none of that rubbish. Go to the club sports section. Of course, the high lift cams are cancelled out by the S cams anyway. Stage 2 weight. As far as the semi-racing stuff, we've got the ECU, the diff. I've actually opted for probably not what you would expect, the fully customised manual box. The reason why I've done that is twofold, as you'll see in a second. Number one, I wanted it to feel a bit more raw and rough, but also it gives you a slight point advantage over the full race transmission. So it could come in handy if you do want to, I don't know, maybe recalibrate it for 600 points or whatever with different tyres. We've got the increased body rigidity, stage 3 weight as well. For the racing stuff, we've got the filter, silencer, manifold, and pads. I've not gone for the racing discs, because for this one I've gone for the carbon ceramics. We've got the fully customised suspension, clutch and flywheel. If we do click on this one, of course, you can see a fairly substantial difference given the transmission. I mean, there's no reason why you can't do it, so go for it if you want to, but I thought let's save a few points here and there where we can. As far as the tyres, like I said, just ridiculous overkill there. If you change it, for example, to hards, that's already below 600 points. So you could definitely repurpose this one if you wanted to. For the extreme stuff, like I said, carbon ceramics, the hydraulic handbrake, obviously it's not a drift car, but that's just if you need to pull it, you've got the manoeuvrability, the steering angle adapter, of course, for the turn-in, and we already covered the ultimate section. So it's not crazy expensive, the stuff that I've done, but it is all race caliber, which, as I said, is kind of the point. And in terms of how it handles, we'll get into it more in a second, but it very much feels kind of like a BTCC touring car, just super light, huge grip, not a ridiculous amount of power, but kind of feels all the better for it, really. Now, as far as what we've done to the car, we've got 88 on the front ride height, which is super, super low, 92 on the rear, 7 for the anti-roll, 40 and 38 respectively for the dampers, 3.05 on the springs, quite a hefty difference in the front and rear camber, 3 degrees front, 0.5 on the back, no toe on the rear at all with toe out, 0.05 on the front. As far as the diff, I've opted for triple 10, which I personally really like on this car, but give it a try and change it around if you want to. As far as the transmission, of course, it's a 250 horsepower car, so you don't really need super long gears. And after doing a lap of the Nürburgring, I'd say that ratio is more than good enough, 240 kilometers an hour. As far as all of this, downforce, etc., I actually haven't got any. Technically, you can, despite the fact that it has the rear wing, it doesn't have any applied there, but on the front with the body kit, you can adjust that. The reason why I haven't is because, well, first things first, I was really curious to see how a car like this would handle with essentially no downforce. As it turns out, really well. It doesn't really need any downforce, it's that ridiculous. And over here, of course, there's the other stuff which we've fitted. All that remains, pretty obviously, is to take it out to the green hell and show you what it can do. Spoiler alert, I already told you what it can do, a 719 on the Nürburgring with me driving, of course. That is using no traction control, minimal ABS. Of course, I always drive on a controller because I personally prefer it, and even with an auto box because, just like in real life, I like that. I'm a lazy driver. Now, if I can do that, then plenty of you can go a hell of a lot quicker. So again, for a 250 horsepower car, I'm really curious to see just how far this can be pushed. The one thing I would recommend taking some caution with is, much like a BTCC touring car or any number of track day cars like that, be careful of the bounce, particularly over uneven surfaces, like curbs, for example. This car is quite bouncy because of how stiff the springs are. You could change that, but of course, what you change here is going to affect over there. What you compensate for over there is going to affect over here. So I would say just kind of live with that, learn to use it. Personally, I like it having the super stiff springs. It's completely planted through corners. And again, with that front wheel drive platform, this car just saves you so many times because the front end just pulls itself back in line. Whereas in, a rear-wheel drive car or even an all-wheel drive car, you could lose control under some circumstances where this car simply doesn't. And in terms of braking, a little extra tip which I'll give you when it comes to this car to aid in high-speed braking stability, and this kind of applies to a few cars really, but certainly with this one, is I would recommend, funnily enough, using the meme of taking a screenshot, where people have said like, oh, if you press the accelerator and the brake, your car will take a screenshot. Use that approach and it actually is quite stable. If you press the brake but still give it some throttle at the same time, it makes the car more stable when you're really, really diving into a corner from high speed to super low speed, such as the hairpin section. So this thing is ballistically quick, it's super fun to drive, and in kind of a similar way to what I did with the NSX, but to the nth degree, it's essentially taking what the car is already good for and just turning it up to the proverbial 11. Or in the case of this car, it feels like you're turning it up to more like a 15 because it's crazy in terms of the kind of stuff it's running. Give it a go if you fancy something extreme, something different. I hope you've enjoyed this week and taken the journey with me through the different replicas and fictional builds, etc., which we've done. We will be taking a break from special projects at least for December, if not from January, because of course we've got Spec 3 coming, we've got the DLC coming, and the whole point of special projects was of course to give players something extra to do while we're waiting for stuff to do from Polyphony. We're going to have plenty to do in this month, if not the next one, so it will return, probably more so in the 5-car format again. And for those who are perhaps curious what happened to the Forza special projects, all 5 of you, I am actually bringing it back next week, because this week it was going to be way overcrowded, because of course the whole point of that was I was going to have 5 special projects in Gran Turismo, as usual now, and then 3 Forza special projects as well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as well as the 2 weekly members videos on Tuesday and Thursday, which is quite a lot of videos for me to make. This week it would have been like 15 videos or something, and I just didn't really fancy doing that, especially when I'm busy outside of YouTube as well. So next week we're still going to be having special projects, but instead of Gran Turismo, this week, it's going to be Forza Horizon 5 builds next week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, with members videos on Tuesday and Thursday. So still a packed week, plenty to do as we move ever closer to Spec 3 and the Power Pack, and I'll see you in future with more. But for now, thanks for watching.